This is the third episode of my med school diaries. I think it's been, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 months or more since my last episode. That time it was the second trimester of first year. And now I'm also in my second trimester of my second year in medical school. There's a lot to talk about. I will say this so far, I know I have anatomy dissection this year, but so far it's been more chill than first year. We're studying the organ systems. We started, I think it was GI track, GI, renal, what was it, endocrine, we did OB-GYN, and I just finished the sensory systems, like eyes, ears, nose and throat. There's not much stuff going on at the moment, but I will say though, in the first trimester, the thing I found most difficult was OB-GYN, and I think everybody found it difficult. Like, studying itself, like in the lectures, I don't know, because in first year we had embryology plus obstetrics. In obstetrics you'll learn well about obstetrics, but it would also branch out to gynecology a bit sometimes. Some lectures in OB-GYN was sort of like a review from first year, so some of it felt okay, but I don't know, I felt like there was so much stuff, and I'm not sure, was it because we didn't have much time to prepare? I wasn't sure, but the exam was really difficult. Like, it's really hard to memorize everything. I mean, OB-GYN's a really big subject. It's a big course, and I don't know, I guess it was just quite confusing. Oh yeah, one more thing. OB-GYN was so difficult that the professor reduced the threshold to pass. Normally you need to get 60% or above to pass a course for the exam, and he dropped the threshold from 60 to 45, meaning it was pretty bad for everybody. So that's bad. Oh yeah, and I also had law and medicine and orthopedics. We also had osteology, basically just anatomy of all the bones. We had to draw, which I don't like, to be honest. I mean, okay, thinking back, it was quite fun. Although you had to draw bones and you have to make them look good and accurate, and you need to shade such that you show the curvatures and the tubercles, and you show like the tubercles and like the grooves. You have to shade. Like, you can't just point an arrow and say, oh, that's a groove or that's a protrusion or something. You gotta shade. And I've always sucked at drawing. Like, drawing was never my thing, but I guess I did quite well in the drawing. The exam was also difficult. Actually, yeah, it was a written exam, not a multiple choice, and I think I couldn't answer one question completely, which means like I couldn't answer one question at all, actually. So it means I got 0 on one question. But I kind of forgive myself for it, because before the exam in osteology I was actually quite sick. I don't know how I got the infection. I think I heard there was an infection going around in the school, and I think I got it somehow. So I was studying while being sick. Some of my seniors suggested me to ask for a makeup exam so that I can do it later. But, I still went for it. I don't want the makeup exam to, ruin my holiday or something. I don't know when the makeup exam will be, but, I just want to get it over with. So I decided to just go in while being sick. I wasn't severely sick on the day of the exam, but I was pretty tired, fatigued. So I forgive myself for that. Yeah, well, I ended up doing quite okay at the end, but there's one more thing. About the osteology, actually. I mentioned drawing the bones. I think that's not the hardest part. The hardest part for me was labeling it in kanji, like in Japanese. Like, let's say I was given an hour to draw one drawing. Okay, I would finish the drawing in half an hour, and then the other half an hour is literally spent writing the kanji. Like, what each character I write is like drawing. Like, it took so much time. Okay, look, we were allowed to look at textbooks for the kanji, obviously, or else I would have failed. But the kanji took more effort than drawing the bones and shading. Like, I would rather draw bones, like I would rather draw double the bones and not label than, to draw that much and label in kanji, because it's so annoying. Because look, every day, like now, we don't like practice writing kanji. Like, we always type, and every time I try to write kanji, it feels so sluggish. And the fact that I have to, label the bones really quickly in kanji in a limited time, it was, I didn't like it. I didn't like that part. I think the drawing, looking back, it was fun. The kanji is still not fun. And also sometimes, like I didn't bring the textbook, so like I went and took a picture of somebody else's book, and then you come back, and you try to zoom in the kanji, and it doesn't make sense. Like all the lines sort of merge, and then it gets annoying, and you just start making up your own kanji, because you don't want to waste time. Currently, I'm studying, like, they call the course like abnormalities from birth to childhood, I think, but it's kind of like neonatology and pediatrics, basically. And yeah, the course really big. It spans, I think, it spans almost a month. So yeah, I have a lot to study. I find pediatrics quite fun, although there's a lot of stuff. I think like second year overall, it's kind of like, because at least for me, once I went through first year and you had to adapt to the very fast-paced style of learning, the like, you flood a lot of new information in you and then just go take the exam, like, there's not really time to process. You kind of just absorb as much as you can while the flood happens. And I guess now in second year, you kind of get used to the way you study. Like, you're not necessarily better at medicine, but rather you're better at studying for it. So, at least better at studying it in my school, specifically, because at some point you'll realize a pattern and you'll figure out the best way to study and so forth. And it gets less stressful because I guess you take exams so often that every next exam feels like, just another day. Of course, I still feel nervous every time. I think everybody does, but it's not as bad as before. It certainly feels like there's a lot less pressure. I guess I've always been the one to put pressure on myself, and I think now I just put less pressure, Like, it's sort of like a routine thing. You study like this, you go take the exam, and end up doing quite okay. So I guess that's fine. Yeah, I mean, so far I think second year is, the only thing dramatic that happened in second year is really just OB-GYN, and for me it was osteology because I was quite sick that time. So yeah, and I had to study while being sick, but it was worth it. I don't have to do a re-exam or a retake, so that's okay. Yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna head to Sendai now because I'm free Saturday, Sunday, Monday, so just gonna head up to Sendai. Thank you, and yeah, best of luck.